Now, I don't know about you, but this episode broke my heart in more ways than one. Poor Conrad, poor Billy, and, well, I suppose, poor Jeremiah too. The Summer I Turned Pretty returned this week with episode 7, and this was the most drama-filled episode of the season so far. Focused on it being 3 days before the wedding of Billy and Jeremiah, we arrived on the night of the Bachelor and the Bachelorette parties and the build-up to the most controversial wedding that there could be. Billy was having doubts about the marriage and the focus on Conrad looking out for her for the entirety of her life up until that point was made ever present, but still she turned down the man that confessed everything to her. With an ending that shut down all hopes of Conrad and Billy, let's dive into the episode and discuss all that there was to take away from it. Here is The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 Episode 7 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Billy. Within this episode, we saw that Billy was still questioning what happened when Conrad injured himself whilst surfing in the previous episode, and she put down the fact that she almost kissed him because of the stress of the wedding and the fact that it was getting too much for her, and also because she was on her own planning everything. We know that she's had doubts about Jeremiah for a long while and they've slowly been rising to the surface, but in this episode they quite literally bubbled over due to her taking a substance when out with the girls. When she was on the dance floor, the song We Can't Be Friends by Ariana Grande was playing, and whilst she was dancing, all she could think about was Conrad. The lyrics, We can't be friends, but I'd just like to pretend, and also I'll wait for your love, are key lyrics in the chorus, and they couldn't have summed up Billy's situation even more if she tried. Pair that with the fact that she also found out that it was Conrad that convinced her mother to attend the bridal shower, getting her to change her mind, something that she didn't think that she was able to do. When she originally thought that it was Taylor that did it, it showed that Conrad had always looked out for her, even when she was younger, which was shown to us with the unicorn in the story, and he was still doing it now as they entered adulthood. This was why she was left in a state of not quite knowing what to do. When you then add in the fact that Jeremiah said that he'd agreed to meet Billy on the beach after the parties, just the two of them before they went to bed and separated that night. Once again, Jeremiah let her down because he got blackout drunk, showing that he couldn't truly be there for her. He's let her down on a number of times in this season, and this felt like it could be the final nail in the coffin. She understood that it was his bachelor party, but it was another blow to him not following through. Right at the end of the episode, after letting everything out to Taylor, we saw that Conrad was on the beach waiting for Billy. He was there because he overheard Jeremiah speaking about when he cheated on Billy with Lacey and Cabo, and she responded and said that she knew. This was where Conrad again wanted to show that he could be her protector, picking Billy over his own brother at that moment because he didn't want her to be made a fool of in front of everybody. And even then, once she admitted that she knew, Conrad was shocked because he didn't think that she'd be with somebody that would do that to her. As the climax was building, Conrad ultimately admitted to Billy that he loved her and that he had done for the past 4 years, saying that he only let her go back at the motel because he was afraid that eventually he was going to hurt her. Even though Billy felt the exact same about Conrad and she was in love with him, she didn't admit her feelings. After all, she said that she pictured that her wedding was gonna be with Conrad. Instead, she let him stand there in tears and said to him how he'd never be what Jeremiah is to her, and that when they were together, they were nothing. Honestly, I felt so bad for Conrad, but I get that it put Billy in such a difficult position, on the spot, a couple of days before her wedding. Her and Conrad are just so much more suited than what her and Jeremiah are. He's there to take care of her. He always has and he always will. So even though she went back to the room and was in tears, I think that final knock on the wall that she used to do to Jeremiah to let him know that she was still awake, with him not being awake and not knocking back, it's symbolic of the fact that he's not going to be there for her and they won't be together. Jeremiah and Conrad. Jeremiah and Conrad's relationship in this episode was one that was put to the test. We saw friction growing between them, and it was mainly because Jeremiah was seeing the odd moment when his brother and Billy were with each other, and it seemed like they were growing closer than he'd like, and maybe even closer than before. Saying things to Conrad like, "And you looked after my girl all summer," when Conrad spoke about what he did. And then even saying to him, "Billy and I are going to take care of each other now. She's my family. You get that, right?" I think Jeremiah was starting to grow a bit suspicious of Conrad and the fact that his brother might still have had feelings for his wife-to-be. Hence why he was acting in that way, rolling his eyes at his brother and also seeming relatively distant. Then on the flip side, when Jeremiah was speaking about how he cheated on Belly with Lacey, Conrad was infuriated, and you could see the pain that he was in for Belly because he thought that she didn't know, but also the upset and disappointment that he had for Jeremiah because he felt like his brother had let himself down. That's why he ultimately went and told Belly. I think the start of this friction is most likely building towards a clash that we could potentially see at the wedding. We know that Belly is going to be revealing all to Jeremiah about herself and Conrad spending time together at the house in Cousins at Christmas, and even though she did nothing wrong, the lying about it is definitely a form of emotionally cheating, and Jeremiah might not be able to trust that nothing happened, especially with the way that Conrad has been acting and the fact that Conrad and Belly spent most of the summer together. Jeremiah has done wrong before and lied about it, so that could also be why he's so paranoid at the moment. I think we're about to see a large falling out between the brothers, maybe the largest that we've ever seen, and it could be the end of them as we know it. But if they do damage their relationship beyond repair, you never know, we might end up seeing Conrad and Billy getting there happily ever after. Stephen and Denise. Did anybody else think that Stephen was a bit out of line in this episode? I didn't quite feel it was appropriate for him to be hanging around with Denise the entire time at the bachelor party and then also saying how he liked her and that he was happy for Taylor to be his wingman in setting them up together. Even though she offered, he should have declined it. I understand it was weird for Taylor to say that, but I thought Stephen was a bit more caring than that and would have just been a bit more aware that doing that would actually hurt Taylor's feelings. But regardless, he ditched his best friend's bachelor party to hang out with a girl that he liked, which I also thought was a bit strange from him. It showed where his priorities were at, and with Conrad even saying to Stephen, "Come on, it's Jeremiah's party," it showed the difference in mindsets between the two co-best men. It was right at the end of the episode where we saw Taylor telling Denise that she should call Stephen because he liked her, where she also then admitted that she liked him too, and they were both on the cusp of kissing and going to her room. However, Lucinda being upset and calling Stephen over was what interrupted it from happening. Personally, I don't think Stephen and Denise will end up together now. I think them being on the cusp of kissing each other is the closest that they'll get, and it'll be through Lucinda that Stephen will find out how much Taylor is still in love with him, and it might make him change his mind, understanding that it was wrong for him to be acting like that with Denise in front of Taylor, and that Taylor was showing a different way of caring for him despite the fact that it hurt so much. So I feel we could see Stephen and Taylor potentially rekindle something when they next see each other. My review of the episode. I thought this was the most drama-filled episode that we've had of the season so far. It's all been building towards either Conrad speaking with Belly and admitting his feelings, and Belly also addressing hers, and it finally ended up happening. Don't get me wrong, it's not the outcome that I wanted, but the drama that's about to ensue is probably going to be the largest that we've ever seen in the show. The song choices in this week's episode were literally perfect. Whether it be Juno by Sabrina Carpenter as Belly was acting like things were okay with how she was thinking about Conrad, or even the use of Ariana Grande to reinforce the fact that Belly truly believed that she couldn't be friends with him. It just worked so well. Don't get me wrong, as per usual, like every week, there were some moments that I thought were a bit ridiculous and over the top, like Taylor agreeing to be Stephen's wingman, and also Jeremiah's sudden switch up of character where he became a bit more paranoid and on edge about his brother. Something he's not really had in a long time, but for the purpose of the story, I get it. The thing is, we've now only got 4 episodes left until the show concludes forever, so I feel like the stakes are probably going to be at the highest possible now, and we're going to see fallouts, romances, and fights all happening at a rapid pace. As I've said throughout the entirety of the show, I'm Team Conrad, and I don't know how anybody could be Team Jeremiah after seeing how much mature Conrad is now. If you're Team Jeremiah, tell me your reasons in the comments, because I've met a lot of Conrad converts this season. For now, that's it with the video, but let's discuss more in the comments. So, there you have it, The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 Episode 7 Ending Explained.